What up, YouTube family? Today I'm bringing you guys, man, a powerhouse in the building.
Let's
He's going to
go.
show you guys how to make millions of dollars off of Airbnb. Own it and the Airbnb arbitrage where you actually don't own the property. So he actually does both strategies and how you can actually pay zero money to Uncle Sam. So if you enjoy this episode, be sure to show me and my guest some love. Boom, smash that thumbs up. New to the family, make sure to boom, smash that subscribe button. But Jorge, what up, dude?
What's going on, my brother? Super excited to be here. Excited, man, for the opportunity. And we're going to create some paradigm shifts. You know, when you hear like a new concept, a new belief, a new idea, and from then on for the rest of your life will never be the same. That's exactly what's going to happen today.
Dude, let's rock and roll, baby. Let's rock and roll. I'm excited, man. Bro, Jorge, just for those of you, man, who don't know anything about you, man, just a little backstory, a little background. How do you got, kind of how you grew up, got started into real estate, and became a multi-millionaire?
Absolutely, man. So just a little bit about my life today, and then I'll give you guys the backstory because it wasn't always like this. But 35 years young, became a millionaire when I was first 30. That was 5 years ago. Multi-millionaire now. Damn. I own about $10 million worth of real estate that just on the ownership side, not including my arbitrage portfolio. We're on track to do 1.6 million this year, 95% passive because of the infrastructure I have. And I also just opened escrow on a 10 unit, $2.5 million apartment building last week. And I also have 3 ground up developments. So I'm building 3 high-end projects, a 3 unit, a 5 unit, and a 6 unit worth about $14 million in total, all without any of my money. But damn, it wasn't always like that. I grew up in an environment where at the young age of 7, I was selling drugs with my dad. At 10, I was smuggling people into this country. I failed 7th grade, graduated high school with 4 F's and 1 D, dropped out of college. My dad passed away when I was 12 from alcohol. When I was 13, the following year, my mom abandoned me, right? And so the reason I was able to go through all those challenges, like I love your content, man, because you always say how people act like little bitches, you know, like they whine, they complain, they're living in the greatest country ever. And a lot of it has to do because they feel that things happen to them. And I believe that things don't happen to me, they happen for me. I believe that I had the best parents in the world. Even though my dad was an alcoholic and a drug dealer, and he would cheat on my mom, and he was in and out of jail, and my mom abandoned me, I had the best parents in the world. Let me tell you why. Because of all those hardships and obstacles and challenges, I had to grow up. At 16, I was 100% financially independent. I was paying $300 a month, renting a bedroom. I had to get a job. I was paying my own cell phone bill, my own gas, my own everything if I wanted to take a girl to the movies. But life forced me to become a man, and no one handed anything to me. And that's the greatest thing that could have happened to me, because that's what helped me be like 10 years ahead of other people my age.
God damn, bro, Jorge. I mean, dude, we're only 3 minutes in, bro, but you're just dropping bombs left and right, baby.
That's how we do it on the WTMA Wholesale to Million show, baby.
Damn, dude. Honestly, bro, your story is absolutely incredible, bro. Absolutely amazing, dude. And congrats to all the success. Congrats to everything that you got today, dude. And I'm telling you, man, like us freaking like immigrants, you know, like we knew the struggles, you know, it's just same here, back in my country, seeing people working, you know, 12, 13, 14 hours a day just to make 15 to 20 bucks. So when my family came to America, dude, we picked, you know, like, dude, like $6, $5 an hour, dude, that's a lot of money. So, you know, so my parents, dude, they don't care what we do, right? As long as it's ethical and it's moral. My dad doesn't care if he has to clean toilet. He doesn't care about working at a fast food restaurant. Like my mom doesn't care if she's, you know, going out and cleaning people's house and get paid $20, $30. Dude, to us, dude, that's a lot of money. But people that live in America, they never see the other side of the world. So to me, man, they take everything for granted. They don't see the opportunities like we do. All they do is, dude, sit around, whine, complain like a little bitch for real, dude.
Whew.
So, like, for real. Dude, like, in today's, especially today's stage, there should be no reason why you complain about being broke. The reason why you're broke is because you spend more than what you make, period. Because it doesn't matter how much income you bring in, dude. If you bring in $1 million, you spend $1 million or $1.5 million. Guess what? Even millionaires can live paycheck to paycheck, bro.
That's right. And a lot of people do. A lot of people think just because you make $1 million, they think you're rich. But remember, it's not about how much you make; it's about how much you keep.
And then reinvest that shit for
And
more
then,
money.
and then reinvest that shit. Absolutely.
Yeah. So a lot of you like what I want you to understand is like, with social media, people are putting a bunch of stuff out there, right? So you're thinking, oh yeah, this is how it is. But I'm telling you, in reality, when you first make your first million, dude, it really ain't that much. If you're not smart with your money, it's not that much. Because if you're smart with your money, you take that money, you go buy asset. So which means when you go buy asset, like real estate's Airbnb and things, long-term, short-term rentals, you don't have extra money to buy stupid shit.
That's right.
But when you go and you buy stupid shit, then it means you don't have extra money to buy asset. So when you see people all saying, oh, I make $1 million, I'm a millionaire. And you see them driving all the supercar, living in a big mansion, dude, with all that overhead. They don't have extra money to buy assets. So honestly, they have a lot to show, but not a whole lot in the bank account.
I love it. I love it. You see, one of my good friends once said, the difference between you and me is that you buy things to show off. I buy things to write off.
Ooh! What a jumping bomb again. Okay.
I'm not really a fancy car guy, right? But for example, last year I did buy a Lamborghini Urus because it was the last year. It was the last year for 100% bonus depreciation, and I had a big tax problem, right? I had deducted like already millions and millions, and I had brought down my tax liability as low as possible. And there was about $250,000 more that I needed to bring down. And my CPA says, hey, either you go buy a property for $1 million. I submitted 6 offers. These sellers were delusional. I couldn't get any of the right properties to do Airbnb. He said, or you buy a vehicle. So literally like 10 days before the year was over, I bought a Lamborghini Urus for $250,000. And that vehicle saved me $125,000 in taxes that year, even though I financed the vehicle. And then again, I didn't buy the vehicle cash. I instead got more Airbnbs, right? More arbitrage, more purchases, and those profits from the Airbnbs pay for the liabilities, right? Like I love when Rich Dad says that the difference between rich and middle class people buy liabilities and they'll call them assets. But rich people will buy assets that pay for the liabilities. These cash flow producing assets pay for the vacations. They pay for the dinners. They pay for the vehicles. They pay for the life experiences, right?
Ooh, bro, golly, Jorge coming in hot. So, dude, let's break down. Let's first talk about actually owning these Airbnb. So, let's talk about what do we actually look for? So how does someone go about actually acquiring an Airbnb where they actually own the property? And then later we're going to talk about how they just advertise it, not own the property, but still make profit from it.
Yeah, 100%, man. So I think before we talk about the hows and the reasons, I think the most important part of this whole process of buying real estate is the why. And people understand that there's making the money and then there's keeping the money. And there's a lot of people out there that put a lot of effort into making money, but then end up paying half of their income or 40% of their income to Uncle Sam, right? And the Federal Reserve, right? It's not federal. There's no reserve. It's owned by central bankers, right? There's a book called The Creature of Jekyll Island that'll teach you guys, all the listeners, how in 1912, all these central bankers, John D. Rockefeller, JP Morgan Chase, the Rothschilds or Bank of America, they got together. They created the central banking system, the Federal Reserve, the International Monetary Fund. So, one of the number one business models, right, is reoccurring revenue. You acquire a client and they pay you for many years to come. Well, the number one reoccurring revenue model that exists in America is the tax system, because from the time you're 20 to 65, you are that reoccurring revenue model where 50% of what you make goes to Uncle Sam. That means that most people from January to June, they're working for the government. They're working for the central bankers. You only keep what you make in the second half of the year. So personally, because I've gone deep into this rabbit hole, I despise, right? There's hate and then there's despise. I despise paying taxes because it's all based on a system of fraud. So I have educated myself and I have learned, how do I legally, following the tax code, not pay taxes? And there is something called Code Section 179, bonus depreciation, cost segregation, Where in
Mm.
residential real estate, you're allowed to write off the physical building, right? Not the land, just the physical building over 27 and a half years. But if you, by utilizing Code Section 179, you can accelerate about 30% of the total value of the home in year one. So just to
Damn.
give you an example, you buy a property for $1 million, easy number to work with, you get about $300,000 in cost seg. That means that if you showed $150,000 of profit in your business or in a job, you can eliminate your federal tax bill completely down to zero because of that one property that you bought for $1 million. Right. So people need to understand that one of the best ways to lower or eliminate your taxes is buying and owning rental properties, period. Right. So that's one of the reasons, right? Some people invest into real estate because of cash flow, some because of it brings down their tax liability. And the best thing is that if you do short-term rentals and you manage your property for 100 hours or more yourself, and your average stay is 7 days or less, that active income from your business or job can be offset by that short-term rental property that you own.
Oh, dang.
That's how it works. Active income will offset active income. So that's why it's so important to buy real estate. But yeah, man, some of the things that, we look for. Actually, do you want to comment on that, or do you want me to go into like what we look for in the properties?
No, dude, I think what you said, the second part of that, dude, I didn't know that. So I got the whole like cost segregations and all of that, like the whole depreciation for 27 years, but I didn't know that you can actually increase that thing and make it
Yeah.
faster and write off. Dude, that's huge.
Yeah, and it's beautiful, right? Because I know you have students that are making 6 figures, 7 figures with wholesaling, and that's an active business. So if those same students now start buying real estate and they manage those Airbnbs, and those Airbnbs on average have 7 days or less overall stays, and they manage those properties themselves for 100 hours or more in a whole year, in a calendar year, they can offset their wholesale profits with the cost segregation from owning these short-term rentals, and they could lower or eliminate their federal tax bill. So like if they live in Florida, Texas, or Nevada, the state tax is already zero. So now this cost segregation, which applies to the federal side, will bring their taxes down to zero. And they can still, it's just a paper loss. They can still qualify. They can still have purchasing power to buy real estate. It's just a paper loss. So that purchasing power still gets added on as far as what their net profit actually is to buy.
Dude, that's sick, bro. That's sick. Okay, let's move on to the next thing, man. So what do you guys look for? So when it comes to like buying an Airbnb?
Absolutely. So some of the things that we look for, like our business model, is we like to go for bigger properties, because 80% of Airbnbs in the whole world host 1 to 4 people. So my niche has always been hosting like 8 to 12 people, 10 being perfect. So I go for usually 3 bedrooms, 2 bath. And then usually we'll set up multiple queen beds in the largest bedroom, and that alone gets us to 8, maybe 2 people in the living room, or if there's a 4th bedroom, we hit that 10. Does that make sense?
Damn. Okay.
And then from there, we want to make sure that the property has a pool. Even though there's maintenance costs, the maintenance costs, is much lower than the actual added revenue that you get by being able to create a staycation experience. Because one of the things that separates Airbnbs from hotels is having that independence, to like having a game room, having a barbecue, having a pool, a jacuzzi that's just for you and your family, and you don't share that with anybody else. So if you can create a staycation experience where families can have a great time in your home without having to go anywhere, that's like one of the key things that people look for. And that's one of the main reasons people are staying at Airbnbs today, and have been, especially since 2020. The second reason people stay at Airbnbs, imagine you're going to the WTM Wholesale to Millions Conference 2023. And some people want to stay at an Airbnb because it's a 2-minute walk to the conference, right? So people stay at Airbnbs because of proximity and because of a staycation experience. Now, if you could do both, right? If you can get a property that's near the downtown, near the convention centers, near the beaches, near the theme parks, and your property has a pool, jacuzzi, a game room, and you could host up to 10 people, that's where you become like top 1% Airbnb owners, is those types of properties.
Damn, dude. So now, Jorge, are those the only type of property that you're going for?
Yeah. Since day one, that's what I've always gone for. Yeah.
Got you, man. So, dude, like with the current market, man, How is the Airbnb going?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yep.
So I like to identify, our markets as primary, secondary, and like tertiary, right? So
Yep.
let's look at like Orange County, like a really nice area of Orange County, California, or a really nice area of Los Angeles, California, where there's a lot of like high demand, rent prices are high, or purchasing prices are high because it's a really nice pocket, nice residential. Everybody wants to live there, right? And we're like near the downtowns, the beaches, or Disneyland. This is what I would call like a primary market, right? There's a lot of demand. Yes, your rents are going to be higher. You're going to rent properties for arbitrage like 4,000, 5,000, or have a mortgage payment of 4,000, 5,000, or almost 6,000 because they're high, but there's a lot of demand. Then we have like secondary markets. So if we go like 40 minutes, away from the main city, we end up in an area called like the Inland Empire. And then if you go another 40, 60 miles east from that, you end up in the desert, like in Joshua Tree, and those sorts of areas. So you got primary, secondary, and tertiary. Those tertiary locations almost everywhere across the US are struggling the most, because those are like those really far away, like desert areas where people used to go there during COVID, but now like the demand has dried up a little bit. And during 2020, with low interest rates, there was an explosion of Airbnb. So now there's more demand than there is supply. In fact, in my entire portfolio, I only had one property at the beginning of this year that was losing about 4,000 a month. My mortgage payment was 6K. We were only making about 2K for like 4 consecutive months. We were at negative 4,000 a month in cash flow. See, online, bro, everyone talks about making money. No one talks about losing money, right?
Yep.
And so I have YouTube videos where I talk about, hey, how I'm losing 4,000 to 5,000 a month. Long story short, we were able to get rid of that property, but that's a perfect location where most people are at best are breaking even or losing money. You go into the secondary areas, and again, unless you have the best properties in the best areas, you're probably doing like, okay, the best places to continue to operate today is in these primary strong locations. Like cheaper is not better. Just because you can get a property over there for a mortgage or rent payment of less, $500 or less, that would be the mistake to do, right? In 2020, our grandmas could have launched an Airbnb almost anywhere and or our dogs and made a lot of money. Today, you got to be very calculated, very specific. It's really about getting the best properties in the best locations with the best amenities.
Dude, bro, I love that breakdown, dude. Now, what market are you guys targeting?
We operate a lot in Los Angeles County. Actually, Los Angeles County are some of my best performing properties. And there's a regulation here where you can only get one Airbnb per person. But the good thing is, Latinos and Vietnamese people, right? We have we got big families, right? So I could just get one permit under me, under my other cousin, my other cousin, my other cousin, my uncle, my aunt, and then boom, and now I can have as many as I want. And the other thing is, ever since they put a regulation, a lot of people ran away from LA. So there's actually a shortage of Airbnbs in the city of LA because the permitting process is a little complex. And first you have to get a permit for 3 months, then file an extension to get it for the other 9 months. But once you understand it, it's actually pretty easy. But yeah, it's kind of weeded out the people that aren't willing to go through a little bit of a challenge to have a big upside.
So Jorge, is that your main market for Airbnb? It's Los Angeles?
Yeah, we have the most amount of Airbnbs in Los Angeles.
Okay, dude. So let's talk about the number really quick here. So what are you paying for one Airbnb?
Yeah, so I have this one property that I've been subleasing since October of 2019. So we're coming up on 4 years.
Yep.
It says there's a single family in the front and then like a second unit that the previous owner built in the back. That's the one that we arbitrage. It's 5 bedrooms, 3 bath, about 1,800 square feet. It's got a game room. There's no pool, no jacuzzi, but the upside is that it's about 3 miles to downtown LA. The crypto center, Staples Center, obviously all the activity that happens around downtown LA. And we're also not very far. We're maybe about 12, 13 miles from Universal Studios, maybe about 23 miles from Disneyland.
Yep.
And this property, like I've looked at the numbers ever since I got it, it averages to about 11K in total revenue. And it made about 52,000 in net profit last year.
52 G's.
Yeah, 52. And I got spreadsheets to prove it in case any haters out there don't believe it.
Bro, that is like more, dude. That's probably as much as someone was spent 2 to 4 years to go to college just to get a degree. And then,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and then even if they make 50-something thousand a year, half that go to Uncle Sammy.
I was about to say that. So
yeah, you know what I mean, dude. This is profit.
Yeah, because I didn't pay any taxes on that 52K because the properties that I own offset that 52K in net profit, right? So my 52K of net profit, where I paid 0 in taxes, is equivalent to somebody making 80K in a job and only keeping 52K.
Damn, dude. I love how you just break that down so people can understand, dude. It's such a different mindset when it comes to that, when you know about all the tax saving, man. So Jorge, let me understand this. So you look for prime location. That's number one.
Yeah, prime. Yeah, the location is like the most important thing, because you can have a great property in a shitty location and no one's going to stay there.
Gotcha. So one, prime location. Now, how do you determine the restriction? How do you know if it's Airbnb friendly or not?
The best thing is we call the building department in that city and we just ask them like, hey, what is your short-term rental ordinance? You know, can I get a permit? How much does it cost? How long does it take? You know, and then you go through the process online. So if they say, hey, like there's a few cities where, for example, in Anaheim, California, they capped the amount of permits, like you can't get any more, right? Other cities have a cap and they haven't reached the cap. So for example, San Diego is a really great location as well. And you can still get permits. And once they reach their cap, they're going to cap it. And again, I see that as a positive. Some people might see that as a negative, but business is all about supply and demand.
Yep.
And people always worry about saturation. So what I love about regulations like this is that if you get into San Diego and you're able to get 3-4 Airbnbs, guess what? Sooner or later, they're going to put a cap. Nobody else is going to be able to get a permit and it'll prevent saturation. So they're actually doing us a big favor. It's just about taking action. Don't go into analysis paralysis where you want to know everything before you can do anything. And then you don't do shit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, so again, I feel like there's a lot of pluses to the regulations.
I love it, man. Okay. So prime locations must be 2 bed, 3 bed, 2 bath.
2 minimum, 3-2 minimum, 1,100 square feet minimum. Obviously, the bigger, the better. If it's 1,500 square feet or 2,000, that's even better.
Got it.
You know, whenever there's like a second living room, we'll turn that into a game room.
Yep.
We'll put like a pool table, a foosball table, a large Jenga, a large Connect Four, all the Uno, Monopolies, cash flow, all that. And if we don't have a second living room, but we have a 2-car garage and there's a driveway for parking, then we convert the garage into the game room, use the driveway for parking. Because that game room's like really important. Unless you're just in an incredible, like I have one property that is 2 blocks from the beach. That property does not have a pool. It does not have a jacuzzi. It does not have a game room. It's just a really beautiful craftsman home that was fully renovated by the owner. It's an arbitrage also, but it's 2 blocks from the beach. So having a great property in like it's worth about 1.7 million. So it's a really great neighborhood next to the beach. Like I didn't really need all the other amenities because just the proximity.
Gotcha. Okay, man. Now now Jorge, I want to ask you, man, if someone, so this is you actually owning the property. So my question to you is, let's just say if someone just working at a JOB, dude. All right.
What does JOB stand for?
Just over broke, baby.
Just over broke, baby.
So now, man, what do they, so for them to acquire an Airbnb, what is their move, bro? Like, okay, so Jorge, let me ask you this. The question is, let's just say if you were to give me an advice, I'm working at a JOB right now, dude. Let's just say I make the average income in America, it's around, let's just say 50K. So I'm making 50K working at a JOB. I want to get myself out of it, man. What would your advice to me would be? Where do I start?
Yeah, so I would say join Wholesale to Millions. You know what I mean? Because, well, here's the thing, right? A lot of people want to focus on passive income, but I feel that you should first focus on active income, right? The first thing that you need is a high income skill, right? You got to figure out a way to compress time, and rather than getting paid by the hour, because there's limited hours in a day, and you're trading time for money, just slaving away. You need to figure out a way how to make big bucks in a short amount of time. So you got to go from working per hour to learning how to get paid for a result or an outcome. For example, like you could wholesale a deal and make 20K, right? And maybe it took 20 hours, but man, that's $100 an hour. That's like 200K a year. If you launch one Airbnb and you make 2K a month, right? That's a high income skill. And Airbnb is not a passive income strategy. It's an active income strategy, just like wholesale. But just like you and I, we've turned these active incomes into mostly passive incomes because of the team, the infrastructure, the management, right? So I believe if somebody's making 50K a year in the J-O to the B, just over broke, they should start with Airbnb arbitrage because their money is going to take them further. So subleasing is better in the short end because just two Airbnbs can make you 48K a year in profit, which is more than the J-O to the B, right? And then once you get out of the rat race and you get those 40 to 60 hours back, I feel you should now focus on buying real estate and starting a management company where now you take your credibility, your track record, and you can now manage other people's Airbnbs, get a percentage of all the upside with none of the downside. You're in profit in day one. And then by owning real estate and buying real estate, it'll make everything else tax-free.
Dude, damn, bro. I don't have a button to push where it just blow up, bro. So anyways, Jorge. Yeah. So anyways, Jorge, if someone, because we only have about 30 minutes on here, so I got about 4 minutes left. But for someone that wants to learn more about Airbnb, man, and how to get started, where do they go and hit you up, bro?
Yeah, man. Hit up my IG. It's at the THE Jorge Contreras, and we can chat.
Dude, I love it, man. So now, Jorge, what are some last word or tips or advice that you would give to someone that is just either new into the game, maybe done a couple wholesale deal, maybe made a little bit of money, they don't know what to do?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the power of, there's a book called The One Thing. And in the book, The One Thing, Gary Keller says, what is the one thing that if you did that successfully, it would make everything else easier or unnecessary? I'm going to give you another example, right? One of my mentors once said, Jorge, imagine you're in this island and you want to get to this island. He said, how many bridges do you need? Because one of the mistakes people make, right, is they're like, oh, I'm going to flip houses. Oh, I'm going to wholesale. I'm going to do Airbnb. I'm going to do development. So they got 5 bridges when all they needed was 1 bridge to get from here to here, right? So my recommendation is make sure you don't get shiny object syndrome. Focus on one thing. If you're going to do wholesale, block out everything else. Nothing else matters. Do 3 to 5 wholesale deals, master it. And then if you want to go into something else, go ahead and do that same thing. If you want to start with Airbnb, do 3 to 5 deals. And then, because I see all this, I see people making this mistake, right? They're like, oh, I'm going to get into Airbnb. They're like, oh, I heard about this creative finance. Oh, now I'm going to do wholesale. And then they don't do shit.
Yep.
Right. So go all in on one thing. And remember, your one stream of income can be more net profit than someone else's 5 streams of income.
Boom, bro. I honestly, bro, I could have not said anything you said better. Everything was just so freaking on point, bro. Because a lot of people just don't understand. But you got to understand, you make your first million with 1 stream of income. People keep on thinking, well, you know, they say millionaire have 7 stream. Dude, that's for multi-millionaires. They focus on one thing, they get to 1 million, and then they start to diversify. A lot of you just want to diversify. Especially, Jorge, I see people with their baby money. I get DM all the time, bro. Khang, I get 10 G's, I got 20 G's, I got 50 G's, man. Right? Like they like, well, I want to buy rental. I want to do this. I want to do that. I said, dude, number one, do you have your own business? Are you still? No, I still work at the JOB. Do you like working there? No, I don't. Dude, the quickest way for you to get away from that, because you need to buy back your 8 hours. You wake up every day, you're giving your 8 hours to somebody else. Grinding, hustling, making someone else's rich. All right? So your focus thing is freaking focus on, just like Jorge said, man, your active income. How can you get something to replace that so you can quit that? You can buy back your 8 hours. You got to get rich first before you can get wealthy. But a lot of them, Jorge, want to skip the pass, right? Yeah. They're stuck at the JOB and they just want to go and get wealthy by passive income. Dude, passive income, man, is a 10 to 20 year game plan. All right? You can get rich within a year, 2 or 3 years, man. Go do Airbnb. But dude, if you want the passive income, it's 10 to 20-year game plan. All right. So that's my advice to you. And
I love it, man.
Yeah, Jorge, man, I appreciate you so much, man. Thank you so much for taking time to jump on and just dropping bomb, baby. I appreciate you, man.
Let's go, baby. Appreciate you, brother.
Hey, I look forward to meeting you again, dude.
Likewise, my man. Take care.
Take care, dude. Later, bro.